Think that we will ever see the files that have not been released, or even the full files, the parts that have been, the redacted or left out? And do you know how much that we haven't seen, right? How would you describe the volume that we don't yet know about?
Right. I would say we haven't seen about half, and it's the worst half. And the fact that we've seen half, and it's already stirred the conscience of this country, that shocked the conscience, shows how bad the stuff that we haven't seen is.
There are new claims that the Justice Department may be purposefully withholding the remainder of the Epstein files, specifically because they want to protect Donald Trump. Now, there could be some pretty damning documents in there that incriminate Donald Trump. I think the focus on one person or the other kind of misses the forest for the trees. But in terms of why we're not getting the full Epstein files, like what could be the actual motivating factor, I think this is a pretty good explanation. So the claim comes from a bombshell NPR investigation, which asserts that the Justice Department withheld and removed files allegedly detailing Trump sexually assaulting a minor. Now, these are allegations that Trump had sexually assaulted a minor. We know about this allegation thanks to internal FBI documents and a slideshow that was made public in the release of the Epstein files, right? But we don't have all of the information. Let me explain what I mean. So Trump's accuser claims that he pushed her head down and pressured her to perform oral sex on him while being introduced by Epstein. The woman told investigators that she retaliated against Trump by biting his penis, according to the internal FBI document. She said that Trump then punched her in the head and kicked her out of the room. Now, this incident was said to have happened in the 1980s when the accuser was just 13 years old. Her claims were clearly seen as credible. And I say that because the FBI did launch an investigation into that matter. Agents reviewed the alleged victim 4 times in 2019. Now, since they interviewed her 4 times, then we should have access to 4 separate interviews, right? Except we don't. So independent journalist Roger Solinger revealed this month that only the first interview has been released. NPR's report says only the FBI's first interview with the Trump accuser, in which she makes no allegations of wrongdoing against the president, was part of the DOJ's massive records release made public late last month. So where are the documents and notes pertaining to the other 3 interviews? We don't know. We don't have access to them. And they might exist. Like, I think there's a little bit of concern that they're being destroyed. But what we do know without a shadow of a doubt is that they have not been made public. NPR reviewed multiple sets of unique serial numbers appearing before and after the pages in question stamped onto documents in the Epstein files database. FBI case records, emails, and discovery document logs in the latest tranche of documents published at the end of January. So NPR's investigation found dozens of pages that appeared to be cataloged by the Justice Department, but not shared publicly. And that includes, by the way, more than 50 pages of FBI interviews with the accuser. And of course, the Justice Department declined to give any sort of real explanation for why they didn't release those interviews or those documents. Natalie Baldessare reiterated DOJ's stance that any documents not published are privileged, are duplicates, or relate to an ongoing federal investigation. Now, we know that Trump is not being federally investigated for this, so you can cross that out as one of the excuses for why we can't see it. Is it privileged? Why is it privileged? Additionally, when asked for comment about the missing pages and the accusations against the president, a White House spokeswoman told NPR that Trump has done more for Epstein's victims than anyone before him. That is so unbelievably insulting. Are you kidding me? The guy had to be forced to release heavily redacted and incomplete Epstein files. He literally called members of the Republican Party in for a meeting to pressure them to vote against the legislation that would force the DOJ to release the Epstein files. Lauren Boebert, one of his supporters, a Republican, was called in for that meeting because she was going to vote yes on that legislation. Luckily, he did not dissuade her. She still voted yes on that legislation. And you know what he did to her afterwards? He killed a bill. Okay, it wasn't even a bill. Congress overwhelmingly passed a measure that would fund a water project in her district in Colorado, in rural Colorado, by the way, where they desperately needed that water project. He killed it, even though the majority of members of Congress voted in favor of it. That's what he did to punish her. And this mother effer is going to tell us that he did more for Epstein victims than anyone else. He is such a disgusting, loathsome person. Following NPR's report, Democrats on the House Oversight Committee have announced investigations into this allegation and the DOJ's decision not to release the files. Ranking member Robert Garcia said in a statement, yesterday I reviewed unredacted evidence logs at the Department of Justice. Oversight Democrats can confirm that the DOJ appears to have illegally withheld FBI interviews with this survivor who accused President Trump of heinous crimes. Under the Oversight Committee subpoena and the Epstein Files Transparency Act, these records must immediately be shared with Congress and the American public, covering up direct evidence of a potential assault by the President of the United States is the most serious possible crime in this White House cover-up. I want to see all of it, with the exception of private information pertaining to the survivors, which should be carefully redacted. But everything else should be released. That is what the legislation called for, and that is what we're being denied of. So, and the more Trump engages in a cover-up like this, the more guilty he looks. So he should maybe think about that as he continues making these pretty disastrous decisions. Man, Pam Bondi is a disgrace too. I mean, like, you're a woman and you're helping this guy in this cover up. Like, what are you doing? Wow. And I love the moralizing that comes from these people, right? When they talk about, like, the State of the Union yesterday, where they fearmonger about migrants. When they talk about, migrant crime. You guys are the biggest criminals ever, or at least individuals who cover up for the worst criminals ever. So how am I supposed to take them seriously when they engage in criminality themselves? Come on.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.